Welcome back to Joyfully at Home. Today we are going to be making maple walnut fudge. It's getting to be maple season here where we are at, upstate New York. Sometimes we get a very early run in February with our sap running, and we do make all of our own maple syrup here at our home. And so we will be using our very own maple syrup today. We'll be using a mid-grade, which is called a B grade, which makes more of an intense flavor in your fudge. It works really well for baking and cooking. And so we are going to go ahead and start off by making our maple walnut fudge for the season. First, we start off on a very, very low heat with a tablespoon of butter. And we also then will put in 3/4 of a cup of maple syrup, and that's real maple syrup. It's not anything like pancake syrup. You'll want to use real maple syrup with this. You can purchase real maple syrup in any of your stores. Just make sure it's actual pure maple syrup. We'll bring those two things to a heat, get them up to about boiling, where your butter is completely melted into your maple syrup. And then we have just a few other simple ingredients to add to make our maple walnut fudge. Now that your butter is melted, you're going to see your syrup start to look like it's starting to pop bubbles on its surface. You'll want to bring your maple syrup to a full rolling boil. You don't want to let your maple syrup go too far because you are using real maple syrup and it will turn into maple candy if you're not careful. But you'll let your butter and your maple syrup come to a full rolling boil. You'll see that come up in just a couple seconds. It'll start to rise just like that. Give it a couple stirs just to keep the movement going in it. Let a little bit of the liquid evaporate off. You'll let it boil like this for about a minute. Now you take your maple syrup and butter mixture off of the heat. You'll see it'll come down rather quickly. Then you take a 1/3 cup of marshmallow fluff. Put that right in there. And 2 cups of white chocolate chips. Whatever brand you prefer, doesn't matter. And then you just start quickly stirring until your white chips and your fluff are all incorporated and everything is melted and nicely smooth. Once your mixture is nice and smooth, that's when you'll stir in your walnuts. You can have this without walnuts if you're not crazy about the walnuts in a fudge. I like walnuts in my maple walnut fudge. You can just have it as maple fudge without them, and that's perfectly fine too. It's just as good without them. Now that you're nice and smooth, take about 3/4 of a cup of chopped walnuts. Get them to stir in. And then you'll take your mixture and you'll go ahead and you'll put this fudge mixture into a just ever so slightly greased, you can use butter or a little bit of cooking spray, a 9x5 loaf pan that's covered with foil. You'll want to line your pan with foil and then grease your foil. Take that foil with a little bit of, as I say, cooking spray on it or lightly buttered. Spread that right out in there. And then you'll let it cool in the refrigerator until it's set. The reason you want to make sure that you have this pan foil lined is when you go to remove it and cut your fudge. Makes it so much easier for cleanup and to lift it right up out of the pan. Makes it very simple cutting.